So this is Steve, and I'm here with Casey Cox, who is a redevelopment commissioner. Casey, we appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having me, Stephen.
Sure. We wanted to talk a little bit about the Harrison, which is the retail condominium building that's to be built at the corner of Jefferson and Ewing Street, which is part of Harrison Square.
Right.
You have some feelings on the issue where it stands right now. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. This issue has been going on for a number of years now, and really over a year has gone by in which the condominium complex was to have been completed. And there's an article in the newspaper a couple weeks ago, and since then I've gotten some questions from family and friends and about the status of the project and how the administration and the commissioners feel about where it's progressing and what action should go from there. And so in order to understand, I guess, how we arrived at this point, you have to understand the paradigm in which it falls with the legal agreements at play. And there are two agreements that allow for the development and construction of, and really providing of the ball team itself for the ballpark and the condominium development. And that one is a stadium license agreement with Hardball Capital, the owner of the 10 caps, and the other is a condominium economic development agreement with Barry Real Estate. Hardball and Barry Real Estate are sister companies, for lack of a better term, but the agreements themselves are really not mutually exclusive. They depend on each other. And when the city negotiated when Hardball negotiated the construction of the stadium and the investment of about $30 million on the part of the city, in consideration of doing that, the city, in its foresight, asked the sister company of Hardball to build, to invest a minimum of $14.5 million on the left field, along the left field wall in Jefferson there, as you just mentioned, as a phase 1 project, and then additional about $29 million in the phase 2 and phase 3. And so that was really part of the consideration. We're going to build the stadium and parking garage. We need you to put this here. There was also a $5 million investment that the team put into the actual construction of the stadium itself. But I'm getting kind of long-winded here, but the condo was to be completed June 1 of 2009, and remedies for not completing that are essentially, they're twofold. There's a provision in the stadium agreement, not in the condo development agreement, but in the stadium agreement, that allows the city, through the redevelopment commission, to penalize Hardball Capital $5,000 a day for no more than 90 days, so $450,000. And at the end it says no more than 90 days, meaning presumably by the end of that, the other remedy is that you can terminate the contract, meaning that you would essentially have to kick out the team. And that's really it. I mean, there's a termination provision in the condo agreement itself, but it's what's called a cross-default provision. A default on one agreement allows a remedy on the other agreement. So because the condos aren't built, the remedy falls against the team. And so what we would be looking at, we would have to weigh right now if we decided to do something about the developer, is penalizing the team almost $500,000 and then really booting the team out. And when you look at what the community has invested in the team, what the city has already invested in the stadium, and really where we think downtown is going, it just doesn't make sense at all. But what we would probably end up doing is trading maybe $450,000, if that could actually be extracted, for no team to play in the ball diamond for at least 1 year. It's my understanding the team has a 1-year non-compete against the other minor league teams, meaning that it would have to sit empty for a summer. For the $14 million investment, they would go away, and that's probably what we would be stuck with. There might be some ancillary things that we could go after, like attorney's fees and things, but in the end, you look at what our options are, and right now they're just not very good. That said, if we can find someone who, in this horrible market, can build something similar, invest a similar amount of capital into a similar project, then we should be going after those people and trying to engage them. I can imagine a scenario where, let's say, someone from Indiana, a development group from Indianapolis or Fort Wayne or wherever, can do something comparable to what was supposed to be done at the Harrison, and we either assign the agreement that we currently have with Berry Real Estate over to them, or we terminate the agreement with Berry Real Estate under its provisions, and then instead of kicking out the team at Hardball, we force some renegotiation of various royalty payments and things with the team. And now, much of that would depend on their ability to, or willingness to do it, but I think they know that they haven't lived up to their obligations right now. But I guess my point is, it's an unfortunate position to be in. It's really the only position that we're kind of stuck in at this point. But I think the city needs to keep its eyes open and see what other developers might be able to make themselves available. If Barry comes around tomorrow, then we can support him and move forward from there. But we also should be cognizant as to what sort of tax loss would have been predicted under the scenario, having it completed as of June 1, 2009, and when it eventually gets done. I think all those things have to be taken into consideration, and there has to be at least some discussion about how we can recoup whatever we might have lost from the time as to when it was to be completed and the time that it's actually done, in whatever form that comes up.